Hello again. We're back. It's been 2 years since I did my last video. Last video was July 27th of 2023. We're now sitting on August 9th, 2025. I only did 3 videos. I did think about deleting those and just starting fresh. But given the topic of this channel, I kind of thought, I gave that some more thought and thought, it'd be better to keep that, because I think for a lot of folks trying to get healthier, that is kind of, for a lot of people, that's a big part of it, is you try to find what works, and maybe it does or it doesn't, and you kind of go back and forth trying to find that magic sauce, and you do good, you fail, you do good, you fail, you get up, you trip, those ups and downs are part of the journey. And so I decided, no, it'd be better to keep that. Don't just put out the polished product, put out the real deal. So those are going to stay. And to go along with that, I thought, I'll give some filler of the in-between. So it's been 2 years. Since that last video, I think I did end up dropping like another 20 pounds or so, and then just kind of fell off the wagon there, I guess you could say. I'm not sure I can pinpoint an exact reason, other than, I don't know, the normal, I'm just going to call them excuses, getting too busy or whatever, falling into the same old bad habits. For me, I think what it really comes down to is I have to, for this kind of thing to really stick, I have to track. I'm kind of data driven by nature anyway, and like in my day job, that's part of what I do. I have to track what I eat. It can't just be like a mental log. That's never going to work. I'll just return to old habits. So I think I mentioned it before in those old videos, I use an app called Lose It, and I track every single thing that I eat. I cook pretty much everything that I eat. And so I actually weigh everything out. I know some people don't like that, but for me, that's what works. And I feel like for this to be maintainable, I just have to adopt that as part of my routine. And that's just how it's going to have to be forever. And I think that's sustainable. It's really not that much effort. And that way it makes it very present in my mind how much of each thing I'm eating, what the nutrients are that I am or am not getting. I just have to make sure and stick with that. And as long as I can really build that in as part of my daily routine, then I think that should be maintainable, which is also part of why I've decided to start adding the videos. And again, just as a sort of accountability system for myself, to kind of remind myself, hey, keep doing these, here's your daily checklist, which that gives me another idea. That'll be for another day. Anyway, that's kind of where we've been. Here's where we are now. So in the time that has passed, I've actually started tracking again in January of this year. And at that point, I had gone back up to 279.3. So January 7th of this year was the first day I started tracking. As of this morning, I'm back down to 236.5. So between January 7th, August 9th, down a little over 40 pounds. So making some decent progress. I mean, it's not super fast, I think. You definitely hear of people losing it a lot faster, but I think that's point number one there, is I don't think it's really all that great to compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself. Where were you yesterday, and what can you reasonably do tomorrow? That kind of a thing. So I'm satisfied with that for that range, because it's been a pretty good slope down. We're going to keep working towards that. I do have some goals that I'm working towards. The goal weight right now is kind of a range more than a specific number. Back in my Marine Corps days, I think the max weight you could be for my height, I want to say, was 186 pounds. That was the max. So I think I would like to shoot for somewhere between 175 and 180. And there are reasons for that besides just being in that range, which the Marine Corps considered healthy. One of the reasons for this is I think I want to try to do some distance running again. 10, 11 years ago, I did a little bit of distance running. I lost some weight. I think I'm actually lighter now than I was when I did that running back then, but I was also 11 years younger. I got to the point that I did several half marathons, did 2 full marathons. They weren't fast. They were really slow, but I finished them. I would like to do that again, and I think it would be kind of funny to do those now at my age and finish them faster, now nearly 50, than I did in my late 30s. I don't know. That might be kind of dumb, but to me that would just be funny for older me to be able to beat younger me. I get a kick out of that. I'm not sure my knees are actually up to that yet. We'll see. I have started exercising, but I haven't started running. As far as my exercise routine goes, I walk 6 days a week. It's not like a stroll. It's a speed walk for me. My watch doesn't really consider it to be a speed walk. It considers it more of kind of a stroll, but I have very short legs. So for me, I feel like I'm really moving. My watch says I'm only doing like 3.5 miles an hour, but my heartbeat is up. I feel like as far as walking goes, I'm trucking. I started, I added that in 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and this one I've been pretty happy with. I take Sundays off. That's my rest day, but I haven't missed a day. I started, I believe, at 2 miles, and I've only been able to do them in the evening. My goal has been to do the walks before work. I just haven't been able to make that work yet, so it's been in the late evenings. Usually I'm not out till like 10:30 at night with the heat and everything. And I would do a week at whatever the distance was. I started at either 1 3/4 or 2 miles. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm now up to the point where I'm doing 3.5 miles a night. I do treat it kind of like marathon training, where during the week you'll have your training runs, your maintenance runs, whatever you want to call it, and then on one day a week you'll have your long run, which when I was running back in the day, that was always Saturday. So that's what it is now. And today being Saturday, I'll have my long walk, not a run yet. That'll probably be, last Saturday was 6.5 miles. Today is probably going to be 7 miles. And I think those distances, I'm going to kind of keep them there for now. And then once my weight gets down a little more, I'm thinking around 225, then I'm going to start adding in jogging, but it's going to be in, there's a term for it that's escaping me. Basically, I'll do just kind of an easy jog for 30 seconds and then walk for a minute or two, and then 30 seconds jogging and rinse and repeat. Do that for a week, and then that 30 seconds is going to increase to, 45 seconds. And I'll slowly be increasing the run time and decreasing the walk time. And over a few weeks, hopefully that'll get to where, and it may take longer than weeks, I don't know yet, get it to where it's just a solid run. It's not going to be a fast run. I've still got a lot of weight to drop, but my hope is that at some point I'll be able to get it down to, not only is it a solid run, but that I can get it down to where it's maybe, an 8 or 9 minute mile. But that's far down the road, and I've got to see if my knees are even up for that. We'll see. For the eating side of things, for my earlier videos, I had talked a lot about intermittent fasting. I still do that. A little different than I was before, though. What I was doing before is I only ate 1 meal a day, and so it was like a 23-hour fast and then doing all my eating in an hour. The problem I ended up having with that is where it would be like 2,000 calories in one sitting. The hour after lunch at work, I was useless. I was just tired, and it didn't work very well. So I've changed that up. I don't have a set timer, but I do have kind of a range. So I'll eat right as I get to my desk, and I mostly work from home. I have breakfast as I get to work, I'll have my lunch, and then that's usually it. So it's closer to like an 18 by 6, but I don't set like a timer for it like I used to. For the calorie range, I go by a recommendation from the Lose It app. So if you haven't used that app, there is an option where you can kind of tell it what your goals are, what your current weight is, what you want to get to, and then the rate at which you want to try to lose weight. And it does kind of have max recommendations, which I have that maxed out. That maxes out at 2.2 pounds a week. And for me, it kind of fluctuates. Some weeks I'm higher than that, some weeks I'm lower than that, but on average, I'm probably pretty close, maybe a little bit more sometimes. And so right now, I think it has me at about 1850 a day, somewhere around there. As hot as it's been lately, most days, honestly, I don't make it that high, just with all the heat and the amount of fluids I'm drinking. I'm not hungry ever, so I kind of have to make myself eat. For me, one thing that works, and I think for most people this probably wouldn't work, I pretty much eat the same thing every single day. Because for me, if I make it a routine, I make it a habit, like it's kind of this monotonous robot thing, for me that's easier. For breakfast right now, every single day it's the same thing. I use a kind of a high protein, I think the brand is Kodiak oatmeal, no, Kodiak granola. I take 10 grams of that, kind of crunch it up because the chunks are kind of big, smash that up a little bit. A serving of ground flaxseed, I think that ends up being 13 grams, about 340 grams of fat-free Greek yogurt, and then 2 scoops of some kind of protein powder. The brand escapes me. I'll include a picture. And then I just whip that all together. That's my breakfast. It's not a low calorie breakfast necessarily. I think it ends up usually being about 560 calories. It's a ton of protein though. I think it's something like 50 or 60 grams of protein just in breakfast. It might be more. I'll get the numbers and put them here. But that's what I do every day. Lunch depends. With the heat and the lack of appetite, it's been a little more fluctuating. Sometimes I've been basically repeating breakfast. When I do that, I do make a bit of a change. Instead of using, for breakfast, I use the cookies and cream version of that protein powder. If I do that for lunch, I switch it out for the vanilla and then add in like half a cup of blueberries, like just the frozen Walmart blueberries, let them thaw for a few minutes and stir that in. That's actually pretty good. The problem with that is while I end up getting plenty of protein for the day, I still only end up at about 1,000 calories, which obviously keeps me in a calorie deficit, but I feel like that's probably not enough calories for a day. So I try not to do that very often. It's just with the heat, it's kind of hard to do more than that. When it's a cooler day, what I try to do instead is my good buddy, the Instant Pot, to the rescue here. And I'll probably do a separate video specifically on this recipe because it's one I do eat a lot of. It's my normal go-to lunch, but it's just a 1/4 cup of brown basmati rice, half a cup of brown lentils, give those a quick rinse, into the Instant Pot, 1/4 cup of water, 1 can of either Rotel tomatoes and chilies. I'd go with the Walmart brand because they do one that has an habanero puree in it, and I like the spice. Throw a can of that in there. I add garlic powder, onion powder, either paprika or some type of chili powder. Generally don't add salt because everything else I think has enough salt. You don't need it. 1 or 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I weigh those before I throw them in so I can add that in to lose it. Tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Does it really make a difference? I don't know. I do it anyway. Stir that up good. 22 minutes on high pressure. When it's done cooking, take the chicken breast out, chop it up, throw it back in, stir it up. I usually add about a serving of light sour cream. I think that's, I want to say that's like 30 grams or so. And then maybe an ounce of either low-fat or fat-free cheese. Usually cheddar. Stir that up. That's, for me at least, that's a pretty solid lunch right there. Occasionally I'll add an avocado, the entire avocado. So again, this would be another meal that, it's not a low-calorie meal. It's going to be close to 1,000 calories, but I love it. I love lentils. The whole thing to me is just delicious. You're getting a ton of protein. I feel like it's a pretty good meal. It's easy to do. It's cheap. For me, I feel like that's an important part of this. Like, making it easy to do makes this all easier. And if you can make it fit within your budget, I'm not talking your calorie budget, I'm talking your wallet, your actual pay your bills budget, even better. A lot of healthy foods are really expensive, and that's not reasonable for a lot of people, especially the way the economy is right now. That doesn't work for everybody. So I think it's important to try to find solutions besides pre-prepped meals that are 12 bucks a meal or whatever. That's not realistic for a lot of families, and to me it's a waste of money, and I'm a really good cook, so why would I do that? We'll go more into that stuff another time. A lot of talking just to say I'm back to doing this. I'm going to try to do it more frequently. My mess here in the shop, part of this is setting it up so that it's easier for me to record, edit, and upload my videos. So hopefully by basically just having this stuff set up all the time, it'll be easier to be more consistent. Probably no more than once a week is my thoughts right now. It's just as kind of a weekly update. But as I find new recipes that I like and things like that, I'll probably throw those in. If I do get to the point that I'm able to do races again, I'm sure I'll have some stuff on that. I have started hiking again, which I have not done in a very long time. There's a mountain like 6 miles from my house that I really want to try to hike to the top of. It's been staring at me for the 3 years that we've lived here, kind of taunting me. And I think I might actually be able to do it this year before the snows come. We'll try that out. I think actually next weekend I'm going to go try to do the first mile or two of that hike. It's only like a 4.5 mile hike, but it's all uphill. I think it's close to a 3,000 foot elevation gain, so it's not something small, especially for a hefty dude like myself. So anyway, that's where we're at. We'll see what happens next. If you want to follow along, please subscribe. If you don't, do whatever you want. I'm not your boss. And if we see you here next time, great. And if we don't, have a good day anyway. We'll see you later.